Go! They can't clip my wings, can't will my flower. Stole my tongue, I'll make up the hour. 'Cause I'm a goddess and they know it. So respect, they're gonna show it. I'm done with them siphoning my power. It's something bigger than me. I can feel it beginning. Something bigger than me. I can feel it happening. You try to ignore it, but it keeps on growing out of control. It's something bigger than me. Ken, welcome to life. Welcome to your life. You know, the struggle. Put in your comment down. Yeah. So, the best podcaster in the history of Dumfries on tour. Oh, he's great, David Keenan. He's got such a unique style. He just talks anything. He's so free, you know. Did I become so free after lasting on the toughest movie gig, Ken, Braveheart 2, as the local hero? Or did I do that shit because I was already free and I was destined to do great things, you know? I wouldn't say great things, let's call it excellent. Where are you in the scale of quality? Shit, fair, good, very good, excellent, sublime, outstanding, excellent, you know, greatness. Where are you? Are you still working towards it? Maybe some folk are just cut from a different cloth, you know. That's what it is, isn't it, at the end of the day? And it's a matter of how you get aligned to that, you know, the spiritual path, the spiritual journey. With spirits in the material world, Kim, I mean, I'm fucking brilliant, and I let the cunts take me out of alignment, spiritual alignment. That's what it's all about, innit? So you let folk take you off that because you get drawn into their bullshit. And then, of course, people pleasing and all that bullshit that I was drawn into before because you thought the problem was you because you're overly sensitive, because I was destined, I was designed with this spiritual sensitivity, you see. I was sent by another universe to wake up the chumps, right? To realize, you know, that's where all the Bible stories and everything came from, innit? It's probably somebody taking a mushroom and they were in that pure state and they tried to relate it in word form. I don't know, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, I don't know. But certainly Alice in Wonderland was that, wasn't it? It was Lewis Carroll or C.S. Lewis, one of the two, whoever it was, I don't know, who was tripping out on Amanita mushrooms. And obviously, his task as a writer is to be aligned with that experience and express it in word form. So it's not about you, is it? It's about you and the universe, and you know. So you know, I've broken that down very kind of before, my interpretation of that story before, in the kind of rough and ready way before, but it is, isn't it? Someone's probably done the same thing on psilocybes, and I've no doubt, I've never done psilocybes, so it's all about, you know, you trying to relate, you know, a lot of great art and everything comes from experiences on drugs. I mean, look at the Black Sabbath, they were literally buying soapbox cartons full of cocaine, you know, so all the other drugs, so of course, plus it was you know, all that kind of thing. But anyway, what am I talking about? Let's forget that. So if I could just quote David Icke, it's only when you come out of the box that you realise just how small a box you've been living in. You know what I mean? Like, not being able to express yourself. And then obviously I've gone to the other extreme, at least try to do that. Just talk. And of course, society would misalign that, mischaracterise that as, oh, you've got some sort of personality disorder, you're neurodivergent. Nah. Who sets the norms? Who decides? I decide what this human vessel does. I decide what way I express myself. Okay, I'm not going to be inappropriate. I'm not going to go into the bank and go, how's it going? Oh, not too bad. Oh, how's it going? Are you resisting all the Satan's attempts to fuck with your mind and ruin your life? How, you know, I wouldn't be inappropriate like that. You know, save that for the stand-up show or whatever. You know what I mean? But it's all been done before. So anyway, man, I mean, kind of how all art's the same thing, as Bill Hicks said. Cycling. David Miller, I've said this before, I'll say it again, just practising the presentation skills. David Miller, one of Scotland's greatest ever cyclists. He was going to go to art college, and he decided not to do that, to pursue the sport of cycling, and a great professional career he had. He didn't give up art to do cycling. No, cycling was his art. And what glorious pictures he painted, you know what I mean? All art's the same thing. A bike run might as well be a picture, you know. Everyone's creative, everyone's artistic. If you decided to be, to quote Claire when they were tripping out of mushrooms in 6 Feet Under, and she was like, oh my God, everything we do becomes a work of art. You know, the childlike nature that we've forgotten, that every minute of the day, you know, you try, that speaks to the alignment, doesn't it? Spiritual alignment. You mean spiritual alignment? It just means you being in a good state, innit? Like you're focused, hyper focused. Now that we've found focus, what am I gonna do with it? Yeah. So we've the reason why I'm back here is because the wind noise was a bit too much there, so we've taken a bit of a step back. But I just thought I'd review yesterday's ride. I had a lovely ride back on the Feast of Glasgow, and of course with a brutal headwind up the Doveen Pass, and that was a fucking serious reminder. I hadn't been doing much mileage, 80, 90 miles a week, you know, and I was like, right, time to fucking step it up, because we're in January now, right? And so indeed I might share it on my Strava just for the anal conscious, you know. The mileage is increasing. We're up to 150 miles for this week, and then obviously after this run I'll be up to about 160, so the mileage has gone up nicely, you know. And so yesterday was 80 miles, and I was quite surprised that the average speed that I did, and that speaks to what I was saying about, no, I'm not getting slower as I'm getting older, I'm being smarter. Well, the proof is right there in black and white on my Strava, so, you know, there you go. Because I've just been pottering around cycling to work very gently, but of course yesterday average speed, the Strava got split up into two. So it was like the Feast to Abington was 16.6 miles an hour, and then from there to Glasgow was 17.6 miles an hour. So it's a respectable speed given the conditions, you know. So we had a few issues with the lights and all that, because I wasn't prepared to ride in the dark. But it was, to quote myself, you know, sometimes the things that you fear become good, and it was really nice. I was playing one of my Facebook videos and just reviewing it, you know, and I left the headphones on. I was cycling along, and it just goes on to autoplay, didn't it? And it just cycled through all these like motor racing and mountain biking and off-road kind of dirt track, motocross, whatever. All these videos kept playing, and it was all this some guy POV or whatever it was. It was great for the imagination, but it was a great soundtrack to the film that I was making, you know, on location as I was cycling along there as the Skateaway Girl, you know. It was a beautiful soundtrack, you know, the Formula 1 noise engines. It was really quite poetic. Just, it was, yeah, it's like, that was better than music, just hearing like cars revving. It got me going, you know. So nothing really notable happened, but it's quite fun cycling through Hamilton and all that towards the approach to the city. Cycle through the city is can be a bit dramatic, you know. You're going right through the main, down St Vincent Street towards Charing Cross, then along Woodlands Road, Great Western Road and all that. You've got to be very careful, especially if you've got the headphones on, because you don't really hear what's around you, so you've got to be careful. But so we're up to a respectable mileage for the week, 150 miles. That's pretty good, you know. So next, because I'll be cycling back, that's another 80 miles. So we'll be up to 200 miles for the week. We're just again, it's just like, sometimes you're not feeling the passion for it and the buzz for it, but it's just like having a cup of tea. It's like, what else are you going to be doing? You'll be sitting vegetating, so you might as well put a good bike run and you know, saves money on the train ticket. But of course we had the problem with the chain, didn't we? So we had to fix that, and that cost money and time. That delayed us, but at the end of the day, everything's an investment, isn't it? But we are indeed going to put this bike away for the winter and get the other bike on the road, and you know, we're going to get super focused, because like I say, I'm not going to go into it, but I've got some issues in my life that maybe they're issues and maybe they're not. I think sometimes people You know, the echo chamber, I was talking about this today, the echo chamber, when you're certain people, this is the way something is, and then someone else will go, oh, that's weird. It's a bit like juror members in a trial, group think, and then, oh, this is the way it is, and oh, we all ramp each other up into this hysteria of like, oh, and no one actually comes in the room. A bit like, what's his name in Henry Fonda in Six Angry Men, what's the name of the film? And he's the juror member that actually is the devil's advocate, that totally breaks down the suppositions and the flawed reasoning behind a lot of their arguments, and he jumps in and goes, well, what about this? And by the time they've deliberated, by the end of the deliberation, they've all completely changed their minds. So it's a bit like that. There's an issue going on in my life, and people are not seeing the wood for the trees. They'll get lost in the sauce because they're a bit spiritually, that's a nice way to go back to what we said at the start, a bit spiritually misaligned. They could learn a lot from me about, you know, get out your bike, clear your foggy head, and maybe you'd get some spiritual alignment. Clear your foggy head, get rid of your anxiety, because of course what we discovered in philosophy is, psychology, or it's just basic, anybody that's intelligent should know this, right? The state that you feel, if you feel like shit, it informs it clouds your thinking. That's why Einstein went out into the woods and had a wank, you know, and Burns went and had a wank in the woods, isn't it? Because it, you know, you go out in nature, you know, all the great eureka moments, realizations, comes from that period of stillness where you're out of your way, doing a mindless, in inverted commas, activity that gets you out your own head, and you can see things clearly, because the state, your emotional and spiritual mind-body state, you know, it's all connected. The way you feel, if you feel like shit, is going to inform your rational mind, you know. But of course, we studied argumentation, rhetoric theory, and of course, all the great orators, you know, they use emotion, the use of emotion in argumentation. You know, look at any lawyer that speaks and is driven by, you know, a lot of lawyers are cunts and psychopaths, and they're dickheads, and, you know, they're bad people, but there are, you know, just the idea that, you know, like the way it's portrayed in film, your Matthew McConaughey's, you know, the good lawyers who are actually principled and are driven by a sense of injustice, just like Colin Firth in Flight 103. That was cool. Totally unbiased. Well, you could say he was biased because his daughter was killed, you know, but at least, you know, don't throw the baby out of the bathwater. You know, he was driven by a sense of injustice, emotion, and argumentation. You could argue his emotion clouded his rational thinking to a point, but no, I would say it's the opposite. It's more the case that he used that fuel to fight injustice, you know, and he wasn't like a raving nutter. He was intelligent. He was an intelligent academic dude, so he was able to use his academic background as well. So it wasn't just like he's just off his head, he's just clouded by the fact he's lost his daughter and he's not thinking clearly. No, that was one of the things that was levelled at the 9/11 truthers, of course, wasn't it? A lot of the people who had relatives killed, and some of them ended up being 9/11 truthers speaking out against the official theory, and they were criticised as being, oh, you can't talk about it because your rational mind is totally clouded by the fact that you're... Nah, I wouldn't quite say that. I think what we should be saying is, well, let's look at the facts and analyse them, and let's see if this person is talking says, I think if anything, as I say, it's the fire, the Katy Perry fire burning, the fire. When you know what the truth is, that's going to provide the impetus to go the extra mile, to get all the evidence and do the, you know. And of course, it's up to the opposition to try and rebut that, you know. So, you know what I mean? I think we need that. We need people being fueled by passion and fire and a sense of fair play, what's right. And I'm not going to go into that, but there's something in my life that's going to require that. And I'm going to be like I'm going to be like the Henry Fonda guy who comes in and says, excuse me, and slaps everybody down and says, excuse me, I think what you'll find is the situation is this. How do you like that? Okay? Take a telling. I think someone said to me, they said, it never ceases to amaze them the degree to which people can underestimate their opponent. And people have underestimated me many times, and they don't actually realise that I can be a formidable opponent if, you know, pushed into a corner, if, you know, backs up against the wall. Well, you wait and see what you get. Wait and see what you get. I'm not going to take no shit, you know, especially if I know I've done nothing wrong and I'm in the right, you know. So truth rising, the truth wins in the end. Do you not think? At least that's what I'm going to try and prove. I'm going to try and prove that it is the good guy that wins, because a lot of times they say, oh, it's the cunt, the good guys finish last. Well, I think I'm going to prove that it's the opposite of that. Just in life, I think I should be winning, given the fact of what I contribute and do, always try and do the right thing and everything. And some other people don't get that memo, but still, I'm not going to stoop to the enemy's level. I'll be you know, righteous, so to speak, do things properly. It doesn't mean I'm going to be a pushover. No, it's the opposite. See, sometimes people are, you know, don't mistake my kindness for weakness. Some people think that the people that are kind and, you know, magnanimous and giving, and, you know, that they are seen as pushovers, and he's naive, he's a pushover, and they don't actually realise if I'm pushed into a corner with something that I feel strongly about, that I feel needs defending or whatever, you know, good luck, because no one's gonna bully me, and no one's gonna. I'm not talking about that situation that happened yesterday. If anyone was actually watching that, that's fuck all. That's just like nothing. I don't care about. I was just making a bigger point about. It wasn't so much the person, you know. I wasn't trying to shit on that person. Oh, I'm so overly sensitive. No, it's just I'm sick of bullshit. I'm sick of widos. I'm sick of people with nothing, you know. Nobody's 100% bad or 100% good, right? But here's, you know, you've got to be a bit kind of. You can have boundaries, but it doesn't mean that you guard your heart. You know what I mean by that? You know, you can have boundaries. You only accept people in on the level that they deserve to be let in, but equally, I'm not going to let people who are cunty, I'm not going to be pulled into their level to the point where I harden my heart and become, you know, a cunt, basically, and not be a nice person, and not actually try to be like, where, you know, where's your heart? That's what I feel a lot of times with certain people. You go, have you got a fucking heart? You're fucking cold as ice. You're just like selfish. You're just, you know, all you care about is money. You don't care about, honestly, you know. I think, see, if people actually valued human relationships and valued certain standards, then they would actually realise that they would win in the end, you know. Might take longer, but you can go for your short-term bullshit all you want. Short-term me, I'll try and get what I want. I'll try and the battle, try and fight everyone for what's mine, and just be a cold-blooded cunt that's always looking out for myself and try to put other people down to artificially inflate myself. But again, speaking of what I was saying about the truth rising, in the end you're not going to win. You're gonna, you know, that's the nature of karma, isn't it? What you put out into the universe, eventually you're going to get caught out. We shall know them by the fruits of their spirit. I never read the Bible, but because my mum's dead, a lot of the stuff, the things, wisdoms and quotes that my mum would bring up, I actually, I'm starting to realise this. I'm thinking, I'm the only sibling in the family that she used to quote these things to, because she actually trusted me with these things, you know, wisdoms, you know, we kind of life advice things. But that's a fucking you can say, oh, the Bible, you can say that all you want. I'm not a Bible basher. I didn't read the Bible. I'm not a religious person. I didn't go to church, but I do tap into some of these wisdoms that, you know, just quotes and stuff. You go, we shall know them by the fruits of their spirit. I think we're seeing that happening now. Do you not think so? And I think COVID was a big catalyst to that. We started to see people for who they actually were. Maybe all along, but people seem to get worse. I want to get better in life. I don't want to be getting worse. People cream rises to the top, the quality rises to the top, the people of good character, they don't always win, but they should at least, they might not win in the world, but I think they should, I think if you can look at yourself in the mirror and feel good about yourself, then I think that's a win, you know. And I would not want to be, what everybody's a bit, this might sound cryptic what I'm talking about, I'm just saying, it might seem as, you know, everybody's a bit, human nature is kind of selfish in a way, but as grown-ups, I think we've got to realise there's certain values, you know, we're supposed to, you know, a sense of togetherness is quite important, you know, that there's some values that we hold higher above just money or short-term me. I think, you know, I think to be honest, the ultimate losers are the people who just go, fuck you, I'm gonna fuck you short term to get what's mine in the moment. I think long term you're actually gonna lose, you know, and the people that do right consistently. And I'm not trying to sound like all, you know, high and mighty, I'm so self-righteous. I'm just talking about generally not being a cunt and actually looking out for people and actually not being selfish, not being, again, I'm not going to go into details, but I think we need to be putting certain standards above short-term gain, because I care about how I am, I care about my reputation. Of course, some people can try and badmouth you and try and give you a shit reputation, but you know, you got to know yourself. Are you a good person? So it doesn't, you can't believe, you can't care about what other people think. I'm talking about knowing yourself that you've not been a cunt, knowing yourself that you haven't, you know, stolen, fucked someone over, lied on someone, you know, cheated on somebody, you know, all this kind of thing, you know. I mean, everybody has their moments of weakness and we all do things wrong, but I'm not trying to sound like I'm on some fucking pulpit here. I'm just saying there's stuff going on in my life where I feel like I will conduct myself with the utmost integrity, whatever, because I'm just constantly surprised. People never seem to, I was talking about, you know, never ceases to underestimate me, it never ceases to amaze me how much someone can underestimate their opponent. Well, it never ceases to amaze me how bad people are show their true colours, and you go, fucking hell, I never thought you were like that. But, you know, wise up, grow up, catch up. That's what I was saying about other people. I need to be wising up, growing up, catching up to the fact, see people for who they are. And at the end of the day, I know my own worth. I'll just say that much. I know my own worth. Okay? And if you know your own worth, put that in the comments below. Say, I know my own worth too, Dave, and I'm not putting up with bullshit. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. You know, people that have fallen out with family members, and you know, you have family feuds, and you know, you have this and that happening. But you know, you go, well, you know, sometimes we can have differences of opinions and miscommunications and misunderstandings, but really, sometimes I don't know why you go into that, but you know what I mean, fuck all that bullshit, and that's what the good thing about cycling is, that this is a tool that I use to kind of, not as an escape, sometimes an escape, but it's like I feel normal when I'm doing this. I feel like, yeah, this is the standard, I'm feeling good, this is like, I get the clarity of mind, I can work things out. And again, some people that didn't know what this is like, that obviously explains why they are the way they are. I mean, you don't need to do you don't need to go to the gym to be a nice person, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, I see sometimes behaviours in people and I'm going, you have issues. Go a walk around the park, do something. And those are the people sometimes that have been trying to make out me to be crazy, and I'm going, I think I'm the sane one. I think you should be learning from me, you know, how to get rid of your cloudy headedness, your foggy headedness, because you're not coming across like you're the full shilling there. You're just like, what I didn't respect in people is a lack of backbone. That's what I don't like. People that just believe something because someone says it, or someone will present something, they'll go, oh yeah, that's the way it is, yeah, echo, group think, we'll just all buy into it. No, what I respect in people is people that actually have got the backbone to question things, and then have a backbone to stand up for certain things, certain standards, have actual morals, and have a bit of character, actually do the right thing. Is that still alright in 2026 to do the right thing? It doesn't mean you're soft. A lot of the times it means you're the toughest out of a lot of them. It actually takes more character to do the right thing. It's sometimes easy to do the wrong thing, but it's going to come back to bite you. # karma, isn't it? So put in the comments below, has there been any of that shit going on in your life where folk have shat on you and then the karma's come back to bite them in the ass, and you've not gone, I told you so, but you've kind of witnessed certain things happening, you're going, I can see what's going on. Sometimes I feel like I can see things happen and playing out the way I know they're going to play out before it's even happened, And again, that's just because it doesn't mean that you're like a joke about, oh yeah, the glorious visionary, but it's kind of like that, isn't it? It's like, duh, if I do certain things, it's going to have a certain effect. And then using the scientific method with certain people, you look at a pattern of behaviour and you go, right, well, I think we can sort of predict this robot and how they're going to act. Folk didn't change in life. There's another thing. Personal development. You're being true to yourself, but do we know change and develop and kind of get better and develop character? Based on new information, we slightly change our beliefs and views on things, all that kind of thing. No, but some people just seem to get worse. They stagnated. And I was talking about this today. I'm going to finish with this. Folk in a comfort zone. I think that's a lot of the problem with people sometimes. That's why they're acting out and they're depressed and they're unhappy and they get angry, is because they're stagnated. Because, the spirit's wanting to expand like that tree, but the human vessel's stagnated. So there's there's trapped energy. That's why people get ill, yeah? We need release of energy. We need to, that's why I do these things, to feel fucking normal. And then, of course, so you express yourself so you're fucking mental. And I think you'll find you're the mental one. I don't know what planet you're on. You're acting like a fucking child, and we're now some of us middle-aged. And you can't even be open about how you feel and what you think about how you feel and think in the moment. That's pretty pathetic. But I'm not going to be drawn into that kind of attitude. I'm going to say the truth. To quote Katy Perry, again, some of these fucking idiots, right? Unenlightened fools. That call themselves artists. If you've actually studied the history of pop, rock, and rock and roll, whatever, I mean, you could listen to one Katy Perry album and go, boom, yeah, I get it. Aye, but you're actually putting that into practice, you fucking pussy, the idea of, I'll speak my truth even if my voice shakes, have a bit of courage. Some folk are too scared because they're under the thumb, they're emasculated, they're, controlled, they're suppressing themselves, repressing themselves, editing themselves. How about you actually have the balls to speak your truth and say, no, this is the way. They're scared. Oh, that's the point. A lot of folk walk through life with fear, scared to do this, scared to get out of my comfort zone, we want the status quo, we want things to just stay the same forever. That's a great fucking recipe for success, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Some folk think I'm still fucking 15. They actually insult my intelligence and my knowledge, wisdom, understanding. They actually think I'm some... Anyway, I'm not going to go into that. But I'll finish with that, right? It never ceases to amaze me the degree to which the opposition can underestimate their fucking opponent. So know your enemy, Rage Against the Machine, adversaries, know that they're adversaries, but love your enemy as well. That's another one. Don't fight your enemy. You know that they're an enemy, but you turn to their cheek. But I'll be tactical. I'm not going to stoop to your level, but I'll win anyway by the power of truth Yeah.